So the title of this video is There is a clear solution to the dating crisis, but nobody will touch it by Effective Purpose channel. So yeah, let's watch it.
Tiniest of self-indulgences to the biggest of life-ruining false accusations, we do not hold women accountable today. And by we, I mean everybody. Libs and tradcons, boomers and millennials, even most of my fellow Christians sit on their thumbs. But if we did, what would happen? How would accountability be different from the other solutions to the dating and marriage crisis out there
The bills.
right now? How would
Which one's the Hawk bill there?
your life be different? Today, we're going to look at some scenarios to illustrate what would change. With each one, we're going to extract a unique principle. At the end, we'll put them all together and create a cohesive vision for not just why we have to do this, but how we actually
You
could.
can keep your
Let's start with a
piles.
really
I'm not
common,
drinking.
mild example. If you're a man, then at some point in your life, a woman has rejected you or broken up with you by saying that she's not ready for a relationship. This is a lie. As the movie Hitch pointed out 20 years ago,
No woman wakes up saying, I hope I don't get swept off my feet today.
and
I don't know what the fuck means quack. What means quack? I don't know.
No woman wakes up saying, I hope I don't get swept off my feet today.
many of you know this because you've
I hope I not get what? Sorry, I didn't understand what he said. That's why I went back, but I still don't.
seen women who said that they weren't ready show up to the function with their brand new boyfriend a week later. I'm not ready is a lie, but it's one of many lies that we functionally allow women to tell because it's not a big deal or she's just trying to be
I know
nice,
it's
so
censored.
that makes it okay.
But I mean, I will never know what she talked because it's now just a quack. So I don't know what she actually said there. I know it's a slur, he swear or whatever.
Right? Because it's all part of the plan. And by the way, before we get too far into this, don't get hung up on
Part
just
of the
this one
plan.
example. There are many more lies that we let women tell without any consequences, like
What
saying
plan?
that they want you to do one
I
thing
don't
when
know,
they
but
actually
it's
want
part
you
of
to
the
do
plan.
something else, saying that they like sweet, compliant, nice guys when they actually choose the most aggressive, headstrong men around, flirting with guys they're not interested, so that
They
she can
got
keep
child
exploiting him
behavior.
for attention and resources. That's not honest. And then saying, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. When confronted about it, there's a long list of lies that we
With the
accept from
square
women,
face
but we're
and
gonna
square
stick with
eyes.
I'm not ready just to
Square
keep
small
things simple.
eyes.
The trouble is that because it's a lie, it does what all lies do. It distorts people's perception of reality. And that distortion causes problems for anyone who comes near it. If you're a guy and girls keep rejecting you, but all they'll say is, oh, you're a great guy, I'm just not ready, then you can't learn anything about why you keep getting rejected. This was my experience for the first 30 plus years of my life, being stuck single and not understanding why. And I know I'm not alone in that. To borrow the terrain analogy from the last video, lies like these add new hazards to the terrain that men have to cross. Now this is where the different pill factions step in and react to the situation. The trad pill and the Christ pill, or God pill, whatever you want to call it, simply ignore these lies and do nothing. Christians especially assume that this just really isn't a big deal. In their minds, good, godly Christian women are innocent angels, so they don't tell
Oh my god, I was so innocent.
lies, obviously. And when you bring up examples of lies like this, they downplay it, they excuse it. You are told that you're making a big deal about nothing. But then the men get stuck with the consequences of those lies, and they get frustrated as they have to watch women say one thing
Where's
and
my
do something
halo?
completely different, while knowing in the back of their minds that they would get destroyed if they did that same thing. Then the red pill shows up and offers men help in the form of information.
I could really use some intel right about now.
They say, hey, so she's lying to you. If you want to know the truth, whenever a woman says something like this, just add the words, with you, and it will all make sense. She's not ready for a relationship, with you. She doesn't want to go to that party, with you. Here's an uncomfortable but accurate one. She doesn't want to do anything physical, with you. These guys
A
then
woman
say
cute
if you
for
want
me.
her to do anything with you, then you have work to do. Here's the stuff she's not telling you about why she said no. Here's what she actually finds attractive. Now you can get to work and become those things. So, women lie, trad bros and Christians excuse it, and the red pill comes in and offers a dirty glass filled with something closer to honesty. And yes, the glass it comes in is a little gross, but that honesty is refreshing for guys who are tired of the cognitive dissonance that comes from being lied to constantly and pressured to not notice it. The trouble is, those red pill explanations just limp around the problem. They don't solve it. In fact, all three pills here give women a free pass to lie as much as they want, so long as they can find a nice sounding justification for it. Even the red pill's explanations don't help forever, because the more women realize that they can get away with dishonesty, the more they use that advantage, and the lies don't stay small forever. The basic principle here is that sin destroys,
Forever.
no matter how small it starts. Every sinful behavior, no matter how tiny, is like a radioactive virus. It will destroy every living thing it comes in contact with, and it will keep growing and growing and
Radioactive.
growing. Lies like these are
Radioactive.
never an exception
Whoa.
to that. Even if she thinks she has good intentions, like she's just being nice, even though that's also a lie. She's not doing it to protect his feelings, she's doing it for her own. But even if it was nice, it still creates the same distortion in reality as every other lie, and it causes the same problems. The only way to fix the problem is to stop condoning these
You're a
behaviors
idiotic ferret
and deal with
and
the
drug
sin
dealer.
that's twisting women's hearts. Because not even having a group of people like the red pill come behind women's lies and explain all of them fixes this problem. Because that still puts women in the driver's seat. Women can just shame and discredit any people who do that, which they've already done, and from there, they can get right back to lying. Now, I know many people will say, oh, but that's just how women are. This is what they do. That's their nature. They can't help it, and you can't change that. They're always gonna
Nature.
fib a little bit here and there. But I don't accept that. We don't accept it when men's nature tells them to sleep with anything that has a pulse. We don't ever say,
Oh, you know what? It's in your nature to want sex with lots of people, so go take sex whenever and how.
Because men are more logical and women are more feelings, and feelings are more impulsive by nature. So yeah, we can tell that women are more closer. I'm not saying that this is true, okay? And I'm not saying that to take the accountability of us. But it's not incorrect saying that women are more closer to animals than actually actually men. I'm not saying that it's that much. I'm just saying that that we are a bit less logic than men, and that put us a bit closer to animals than men are. And animals are impulsive.
However you want.
no. We say, here's a standard of conduct that we're gonna hold you to. And it doesn't matter what your nature tells you to do. You have to tell your nature to shut up and do what's right instead. Not even
That's why I say it, like the best method of a woman defend a woman defend herself of not become stupid, retarded like all these feminists are. It's not giving the ears to them. It's not giving the eyes to them. What I mean by that is that you do not see what they do on TV or online. You don't see Instagram. You don't hear them talking things to you. You don't listen to them. Because just the fact that you are around of this stuff, you are absorbing it. Even though you deny that, oh, it doesn't affect me. It does. You absorb that. Because you're like a fucking sponge. That's what it means to be a woman. You're a fucking huge sponge that absorbs everything around you. Okay? So no, you cannot stay around of that bullshit. I mean, men are not supposed to be around this stuff too, like stuff that is detrimental to them. But men are clearly more resilient. men are clearly more mentally resistant to all these devil works. You know, that's the truth. They are, okay? The best method you have to defend yourself is not being around all of this bullshit, okay?
Even the red pill offers that
Don't think you are the most amazing guy or that you're a most amazing woman and nothing can affect you because you're so amazing. No, you will. If you stay around all this crap, all these demonic things, you will become demonic like them. It's simple like that. It's simple like that.
kind of standard or accountability for women, which is why every other solution on the market right now is either a deflection or a workaround for the symptoms, not a solution. So, how would life look different if we handled women's sin of dishonesty the same way that we handle men's sins? Well, first of all, this would actually be very good for women. I've known a lot of women who are actually more honest and direct in their behavior and their speech. And wouldn't you know it, those women tend to have healthier relationships. They're also much happier. They're not stressed out all the time from having to keep all of their lies straight. It's also healthier for these women's souls. Sure, if she tells the truth, she might get some backlash for that, but none of the stuff that she's afraid of that's driving her to lie
donation of
can hurt
75
her
from
soul.
Kryptonian Jedi.
Unrepentant sin
Am glad to
can.
be a part of
We'll
your
come back to
community.
that later.
Oh, you know, these things that you guys tell me are so important because I have a fucking huge like imposter syndrome. And it's been hitting a lot more hard because, you know, I'm shadow banding at all my reach is so freaking cut. So when you guys tell me this stuff and like, it's very important. Thank you so much. Thanks so much to all of you guys. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kryptonian Jedi. It's really important to me. These things are more important to me than you guys can actually imagine. Like, it's a mental fight, really. It's not as easy as it seems. Like, it's complicated. But yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I'm in very good humor today. I don't want to think about that now, but thank you very much. Thank you. Means a lot to me.
And of course, life would also be a lot more manageable for men too, because they would have better information to work with. Instead of having to try to read women's minds and deduce it from the tea leaves, they could get actual information from the source. And it would go a long way to repairing the broken trust between men and women right now, something else we will also come back to later. Now, of course, women
Fake it, guys.
might not
Fake it.
always
Fake
go
very
into
much.
all the gritty details about why they said no to you or whatever it is they were lying about, but at least the guys wouldn't be getting the wrong information. It wouldn't solve everything, but it would be a start. Let's look at some more examples. Next up, value. Let's say you're a guy on the dating scene and you just can't figure out why none of the women you meet seem like they're worth all of the effort that they demand. They don't want to put effort towards you. They don't want to be your helper. She wants you to be her helper. Modern women offer very little value to men, and we've talked at length about why this is already. So here's the simplified version. They've been told the story that people need power and status to be valuable and happy. And since men have historically hogged all the power and status, that automatically meant women were oppressed by men for millennia. Even if most men treated women very well and actually bled and died to keep those women safe and comfortable, it wouldn't matter. By this definition of oppression, all men were automatically oppressive simply by having any power or status that women did not. So today that means women obviously deserve reparations for
Inaccurate. Where is her nose set to ring? All of these doesn't look woke enough. Where is that pink hair? You know, why they are all shaved here apparently? You know, I mean, this is all inaccurate. This is so much inaccurate. Okay?
all of that male oppression. This
It's not feminine. It's not feminist enough.
makes women feel
They are not fat enough to.
As if it's unjust and actually selfish of men to ask anything of them. Basically, if a woman is expected to give a man anything,
Not
then
enough
women
body
feel like
hair.
the moral
Yeah.
debt that men owe them won't end up being repaid. So they rebel against the notion of being a helper or serving their
They are
husbands.
not
They're taught from the time they're
good-looking,
kids that
neither
they are the
terrible
prize.
looking, they are
They're perfect
average.
just the way they are, and that men
my opinion.
owe them. So they grow up believing that all emotional, material, and spiritual goods should flow to them, not from them. This is textbook selfishness. And just like every other sin, it destroys. Where dishonesty destroys by creating distortions in our
Yeah.
perception
Every sin you commit, it not poisons only your relationship, but it places you further and further away from God. You know, it's something that I learned like 2-3 years ago, and that I never forgot. Once I heard that first, and I stopped to think, and I really saw like that's actually so freaking true. Even though we think that, even though we think that is a very easy concept to understand, it was kind of mind-blowing to me, you know? It seems it's something very simple, but it was very mind-blowing to me like 2-3 years ago, you know? Every sin you commit, you are a step away from God. And it's not because God is not willing to forgive you or anything. It's because you yourself does that because of shame, because of feel more and more unworthy, because you have more burden on your back, because of the more sins you committed. And that's why I say that the more depraved life you live, you start to harden your hearts to God, because you start to go so much away from God that it starts to reach the point of no turning back. It's a no going back point. And it's not because of God. It's not because God's not gonna forgive you, but because you cannot forgive yourself and turn away from the path you are going back to God again, because you are too much hardened already by all the deprivation, from how far you went from God. But of course, it varies from people to people. There are people that commit ominous crimes out there, you know, and also depravities, and they actually can go back to God. But they are the exception. They are the very, very exception. The ones that truly change. I'm not saying from just on their words, just by saying, you know, but on their soul. They are very exceptional people. The ones that go as far as that and can go back, they are very exceptional people, but it's not for the majority. Truth is, you reach a point, God is always willing to forgive you. But you reach a point by sinning so much that, committing too much sins that you just cannot go back. Because you don't allow yourself to go back. And you just throw yourself from the edge to the abyss already, because you're so far away that you just give up in trying, and you're just so ashamed from God already that you just forgive and try to deny it and not think about. And that's why you lost your soul, you know? That's why that's how you lost your soul, in my opinion. And even though it may look like a simple concept, it was so fucking mind-blowing to me when I understood this. It was very eye-opening, you know? Yeah.
of reality, selfishness breaks incentive structures, and that matters for men. Men have to make a lot of sacrifices and put in a ton of effort to become what women want. Now, that will never go away. Men have their role to play, and I'm not trying to get rid of that. But when women become enthralled by their own amazingness and the generational victimhood of being an oppressed woman, their hearts become twisted with selfishness. And that sin, in turn, twists these women's behavior. On the surface, they maintain the image of a giver, but behind the scenes, they are 100% takers. And that makes all that effort look pointless to men because they get no reward from it. And this is where the trad and god pills come on scene, and they both react to this behavior the same way. They defend it. Even though tradcons and many conservative Christians say that they oppose feminism, whenever men point out that women today offer little to nothing of value, they'll respond by saying that no, women simply are the value, and you men are just too shallow and selfish to see it. So in practice, these supposed anti-feminist warriors do exactly what feminists always wanted. They get rid of women's responsibilities. After all, men are supposed to sacrifice all of their wants and needs for the privilege of having somebody's daughter bleed him dry, because that's what love is, don't you know? This, of course, has nothing to do with love. It's a deflection, one that ensures nothing is done about the root of selfishness steadily growing in women's hearts.
I'm also seeing a lot of people saying stupid bullshit like, oh, men are made to love, and man and woman, that's the most retarded thing I ever saw. I don't believe on that, okay? Thank you, guys. Oh my god, you guys are being amazing to me today. Thank you very much, Kryptonic Jedi, for more 5 gifted subs. After that donation as well. Thank you very much. What am I saying again? I forgot. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. I will remember later. I actually forgot. I'm
The
sorry.
red pill comes into this and reacts by telling men to get the most that they can of the things that she actually does still offer. Typically, just youth and beauty.
Thank you very much.
which
This
are
is
not
for the
bad things
people
to
for one
want,
gifted
but
sub. Thank you.
not exactly a high
Thank you so
bar.
much.
They basically just say, get the youngest, prettiest woman
It's
you
okay-
can,
it's
use
okay,
her body,
just
then
thank you so
discard her
much.
when you've
That matters a lot.
extracted whatever value you can, and move on. This view basically reduces relationships down to a balance sheet and tries to teach men how to come out ahead by maximizing what they get from women while giving as little as possible to women at the same time. This logically makes sense for individual men, but when you scale this
Thank
up
you, guys.
over
Thank you so
time,
much, guys.
it leads to diminishing returns. Because as women are left to deteriorate in their own unrepentant selfishness, over time, they collectively offer less and less. Eventually, the majority of them fall below the threshold where it seems worth trying at all to most men. The principle here is that sin destroys, and that one of the things it destroys is incentives. Everything in life runs on incentives. That's what keeps society stable and running, which, by the way, is why things like socialism never work. They appeal to our selfishness and destroy all the incentives.
Oh yeah, I'm reminding what I was talking about. I'm sorry. It was like that there I'm seeing it, and not just one. I'm seeing a lot of people talking that men are made to love, and women are made to be loved, you know, to just receive. Like that's such a crazy thing. That's so insane. I don't believe that people actually believe on that. That's so wrong and determined already. That's so wrong.
In order to keep that selfishness satisfied. Now, the actual solution for Christians that we don't really implement right now is to teach women to examine their hearts for selfishness and to put that selfishness to death. And you can show them how to do that in real life.
I don't know, guys. I don't remember actually where I see this, but I'm seeing more and more. It wasn't just us. I've seen like at least 3 times already. It was multiple times already. I think around 3, maybe 4 times that I saw already that very same sentence being spoken. And it's incredible because when we see us, you start to see that that's why I'm kind of, of tinfoil hat, with some stuff. Because I really think it's all programmed by the owners of the world, for the world's owners. Like, I said, I saw this phrase appearing once, and not much later, like it was twice, like many times, like happening already, one after the another. And I never saw people saying that before. And now I see one after another saying that, like if it was some kind of trend of saying such a thing, it's been pushed, I'm seeing more and more people talking about that. It's like they are trying to brainwash men into think that they only have to love the woman, not ever expecting anything back, because women are made to absorb the love of the man and not give anything back,
Life by teaching them how to develop real value that they can offer, and then teach them to offer that value freely to their husbands without restrictions. And don't just teach it, hold them accountable to that. Now, what value might we teach women to offer? Well, let's look at what scripture says. How about becoming women who bring peace to their households and their husbands, not conflict? Right? Peace is
There is nothing to be invented. It's all in the Bible. Okay, all in the Bible.
a fruit of the Holy Spirit. So maybe teach women to be agreeable and kind instead of combative, right? Submissive.
It used to work and doesn't work anymore. What changed? The words is the same.
Instead of arguing and discouraging. Scripture actually commands this. Or how about this? Teach women to flow emotional support to their husbands instead of only ever demanding it from them. Or here's a fun one. How about
Of course, we know all the why. We know what modern society became. We know what the government did to make that happen as well. We know the big corpus behind it. We know all that stuff. We know all that stuff. But it's still, you fix that by following the Bible. It's just like that. But of course, like we have to start for first things first. We have to try to put that in practice, but at the same time, like you cannot expect a woman to come thinking into a relationship like that, to get to know in a relationship, to come thinking with this type of behavior already. They will not. I would say that like they are like 20%, 10% of the women you find out there that will that you will not like actually need to teach them this stuff, But to the most of the you need to, if you are really serious with your relationship, you have to teach your woman this stuff. And now comes the most difficult part. How are you gonna teach her? How are you gonna rule over your newlywed wife or something and your family? How are you gonna rule over that if the government, if the state, it's ruling over you guys' life? Like, I would give a very fast example. My country, a couple was arrested for teaching their two daughters inside home instead of the school, because they didn't want their kids to be brainwashed, to become social, these socialists, these wokes, these tards. So, and they made a very good job. The two girls became genius. Like, they are so freaking smart, so insanely smart. They homeschooled their own daughters. They got arrested for 50 days. What I mean by that is that your own kids are not yours anymore. Your wife is not yours. It's all from the government, Because at the moment you try to teach something to her, if she finds you offensive, she will talk about that to the government, the police, and whatever. You'll be arrested. You will be fucking arrested, So no, you cannot even teach your wife anymore. You cannot say the things that you expect from her. You cannot say this stuff. You cannot teach your kids in home. You cannot, you cannot create your family. Your family, you as the man, as the king of your family. You cannot rule your family. You cannot decide the path that your family is gonna take. You don't have power anymore. You were stripped of your powers. You have none. You have only the mandatory part, the obligations, you became just like literally a wallet, a bank account, or something like that, That's really sad. That's really sad. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This what will happen in majority of the cases, This is so you already will need to find a woman that already thinks like that, or you don't get into any relationship because you don't even dare to try to teach a woman to be like this. You know, you will not be able to. Or second option, you guys subvert the government and these fucking big corpos and all of them, you know, and then you guys can rule your families again. That's not gonna happen to you. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm just in my 20s. I have no freaking idea what are the solutions for these rotten words. I'm sorry, okay? I try to think my best here, okay? I try to think on solutions, but I will not sell a fake dream to you guys. I'm not.
About staying healthy and keeping in shape, and teach women not to withhold their body from their husbands. Once again, I shouldn't need to say this because the Bible already does, but we've kind of erased this passage today for any practical purposes. So if we actually did that, right, we taught women how to offer some value to men and we held them accountable to actually do it, what would be different? What would change in our lives? Well, once again, this would actually be healthier for women. It's always better to give than to receive. And selfish women are rarely at peace because they're never satisfied. And this would, of course, also repair the broken incentive structures for men. Now, do not hear me say, as many people falsely accuse me of saying, that I want to take all of the burden off of men, place all of it onto the shoulders of women. That's called a false dichotomy. It's low resolution thinking, and it is not what I'm saying. No, if you keep exhorting men to become the best they can and to offer the maximum they're able to, but also call women to do the same thing, elevate themselves and offer the maximum that they possibly could, you can begin to repair those broken incentive structures. You know how it's like pulling teeth to convince men to
I guess you're right, Justice for the People. I'm Christian. I'm weird.
step up and do anything today?
I'm weird because I'm not the common. The common is not be Christian, you know. It's being retarded. So yes, I'm
The
weird.
typical Christian response to that is just get frustrated and react emotionally, right? We start lashing out and shaming those young men for everything that they're not doing. The trouble is, shame is not a powerful incentive, at least not to do what you're asking them to do. No, it gives them a far more powerful incentive to get away from you. If you'd like to get the guys moving again in a healthy direction, make sure they receive positive incentives for it and rewards from it. Teach women to become the best version of themselves that they can be and to readily offer all the best value that they can to their husbands freely. Do that, and you'll see things like black pill doomerism evaporate on their own without you having to attack and shame them. Again, the principle here. Everything runs on incentives. When you fix the incentives for men, men will fix the problem and you won't have to push them. Okay, next example, hypergamy. Seems like every week I hear another story of a young woman in my own Christian circles who keeps rejecting all of the guys who try with her. At first, when you ask those ladies why, they give you the correct Christianese answer and say it's because they want a man who's highly spiritually and reaches their standards for godliness, and none of the guys around.
And that's why they hook up with those guys full of tattoos that commit murders. Yeah, totally, because of how much highly spiritual they are. Yeah, probably.
Them meet that standard. But once you point out all the men at their church that they've been rejecting who are more than godly enough, then the answer changes. As one ultra spiritual worship team girl told me when I pressed her on this exact issue once, she said, "Yeah, but those guys are all, you know, when you press these ladies on it, eventually
Hey, what? I want to see that meme.
those guys are all, you know."
Told this girl she looked pretty this morning. She replied back with, "Oh, tears." I know, it's thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. But it really sounded like, "Oh, tears." so good. How the fuck should know I have that? Oh yeah, that was the intention. It's so good.
Now, when you press these ladies on it, eventually the real answer comes out. They have two lists of criteria, one that they tell you about and one that they don't. And even though they say that the spiritual stuff is their top priority, when it's time for her to make the actual decision, that's not the list that comes first. Instead, these ladies' choices reveal that they want handsome, high-level, high-charisma, high-value men that make them feel all the right things and can provide the lifestyle that they want. Once a man checks all the boxes on that list, then and only then does she start evaluating his spiritual worthiness. And to make things even harder for dudes, oftentimes the spiritual stuff they've been told to look for, like being just kind of a sweet, nice, soft, docile pushover, you know, the doormat Christian kind of a husband, is in exact opposition to the stuff that excites their attraction instincts. And these women often end up feeling like literally no guy is good enough for them because their two lists of criteria are competing. Unchecked hypergamy is making dating nearly impossible for men today. I don't even want to know anymore. Both the
6-pack, 6 figures, 6 foot, and 6 inches, so it's 6,666.
Trad and God pills pretend that this isn't a real problem. They don't really do anything about it. In fact, if you try to talk about it, they try to shut you up. A lot of times they get caught up in the equality fallacy. It's a fallacy that basically says every conflict is always exactly 50-50. So in this case, both men and women must be equally responsible for everything that's going on somehow. So even if women's standards are clearly way higher than men's are, and women are just saying no way too often for things to work, people in charge, people who have influence over this, look for reasons to say that it's also somehow men's fault. And then once it's established in popular understanding that men are also responsible, they force all of the focus onto whatever it is they think men are doing wrong and deflect any attention away from the women's side of the equation. So when things like hypergamy rear their ugly head, they downplay it, excuse it, and defend whatever standards women set for the men, no matter how insane they are. And when the men try to say,
"Hey, this is insane,"
they're met with a chorus of people saying, "No, you're wrong. Just try harder, bro." The trad and God pill camps don't believe that hypergamy is real, so they have no way to help men navigate it, let alone keep it in check when it's...
People still don't believe in microchimerism and telegony. People still don't believe in that, you know? Imagine, guys, imagine if like people were to tell the truth. You know, the mainstream media were to tell the truth to women about telegony and microchimerism, you know, and all that stuff. Women would fuck with 0 people, like, until find her husband, marry, and never fuck with whoever was that person ever again.
Starts to go insane. Now, in comes Red Pill. They try to solve the problem by telling the truth.
But never will happen. People will mainstream it, even hide that shit, even deny
truth. Again, about how women are actually evaluating them. They tell guys how to get to the top of the list so that those guys can have a shot, which is fair. Same as before though, this has diminishing returns, especially as we watch the economy crater and women's standards keep going up and up and up. It's slowly reached the point where large numbers of men simply aren't capable of reaching good enough. There's a limited number of jobs that bring in enough to satisfy most women's lifestyle demands, even among Christians. If all you do is just tell the guys to try harder, you're not actually going to increase the number of men in relationships. You might just swap out which guys make it into the club based on how hard they compete with each other. By the way, historically speaking, when situations like this happen and that...
Yep, you increase the competition because now you have more men in more high standards than usual. So the hypergamy will increase more, and we expect even more nicer men. And those men that were once like now the top, now they became average because everyone is putting in that effort, and they will need to put even more effort than before. and then everyone will start to put the effort, and then they will become average again to women, and that's it.
That kind of competition gets
And-
too
and
fierce.
endless,
you get things
keep
like
going.
wars. Now, to be clear, the problem isn't hypergamy. The problem is the growing pride that's pouring rocket fuel on it right now. So the principle here, left unchecked, sin gets worse.
I think I saw that one before somewhere. I don't remember where. though.
The less restraints or consequences there are, the worse people get. This is just basic fact of life. We just don't apply it to women. So in this example, without any accountability, pride grows. Those women begin to view themselves more and more highly. Their demands and their requirements go up and up and up. They want more. And yes, the red pill is right that men can learn what women respond well to, and they can put in effort to become better and to become things that women find desirable. And that will always be necessary. But if a woman is prideful, then no amount of learning or effort on the man's part will ever solve that, because her pride will never be satisfied. She'll always want more. There always comes a point where men cannot just work harder, bro. Men cannot overcome a woman's pride by outworking it. And by the way, the moment you say that they have to, you give all control over to women, because they're the ones setting the rules of engagement. They
Girl
can keep moving
bosses.
the goalposts whenever they want. And that's not a solution either. So what's the actual solution? Well, teach women to recognize their pride and put it to death. Teach women how to be content. Ultimately, women need to find their satisfaction in the life and the love that God gives to them so that they can be content with what men give to them. Now, this won't get rid of the instincts women have to get only the best men that they can, but that's a self-preservation instinct. That's not going away. But it will change the story that women interpret those feelings through, and ultimately teach them that they don't have to act on all of those feelings like animals. I mean, I keep saying this, but we already do that with men's
Yes,
animalistic
Rifan.
impulses.
Yes, Rifan, it's a nick. It's called manspreading.
We just need to apply this to women too. Now, if we did this, it wouldn't get rid of women's standards, but we could bring them down to a place where they're more reasonable and attainable. You know, something more like what they were 50 years ago. Next up, feelings and impulses. If you've spent any time around women, you may have noticed a pattern that they typically do what they feel like doing and not much else. This is why whenever you see a youth pastor give, the relationship talk to his group of young adults, he'll say stuff like, "Oh, come on, everybody,
I'm
just
being ironic,
give
by
people
the
a
way,
chance,
okay?
just go on dates
I mean,
already."
I
And the
think
guys
you know
will
that,
try.
but I'm saying anyway.
But the girls won't. Because the girls are thinking, no, these guys don't make me feel enough. So I know you say that I should
Ew.
just do it, but it doesn't feel
You, this guy, this guy breathed in the wrong way. That was so, yeah.
right to me, so I just can't. And this is a tame example. The world teaches women that the most authentic and real part of themselves is their feelings. So when they feel something, they interpret it as a revelation of
Feelings.
completely authoritative, almost divine truth. So for her to disagree with her feelings would be blasphemy.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
Right? It would actually be morally wrong. This is how many women justify being bitter,
This
unforgiving, or
is
controlling their
Sparta.
husbands, even ending their marriages to go find something better. Their feelings have become sovereign. They are the thing that she worships
It's
and
all
obeys
about feelings.
over and above God himself. They are her idols. And there are few sins, if any, that are worse for our souls than worshiping
Man
something
happy?
other than
Ew.
God.
Oh,
Now, the trad
no.
and God poles
Oh,
typically
God.
don't see this as false worship.
Ew,
though.
that's
As our
so
friend
ew.
Dr. David Edgington has pointed out, most pastors and Christian counselors encourage women to treat their feelings like they're sovereign by
Blah.
treating women's feelings
Man
that
happy?
way
Blah.
themselves.
Man
In
breathing?
practice, we act like
Blah.
women's feelings
Ew.
are gods, and we force everyone around women to bow down and worship her feelings too, especially their husbands. We do not see the danger that this poses to women's souls or care about the harm that it does to the men around them. So we've typically been worse than useless in this area. The red pill once again tries to get around this by teaching men something. This time, how to hack a woman's impulses and feelings in your favor. For example, using her competition anxiety around other women to keep the rest of her impulses from turning against you. Same as before, this can produce some results, but same as
No, it's not worth any of this stuff that he's saying now. It's worth doing, in my opinion. Okay, because it's only temporary measures, and if the woman is already having a bad behavior, like enough for you to be leaning into this type of strategies, like things are clearly not going well already, and that's not gonna save or help you out.
as before, this also always has diminishing returns. What's worse, if you're in a relationship and at any point you fail to successfully hack her feelings, you're beyond screwed because she will make you pay for it. The real solution: teach women that their feelings are not truth. They are not reality. They are not sovereign, and that no one is to worship or serve her feelings, especially not her. The principle to take out of this is that your core story influences how you react to your feelings and impulses. In all these examples, it started with some kind of impulse or instinctual reaction that a woman has to the situation. Then sin gets in and twists her interpretation of that instinct, and that then twists the way that she responds to it. If you can get in and kill that sin by holding it accountable, and also teach positive principles for women to aspire to instead, it doesn't always make the feelings go away, but it does change the story lens that she interprets those feelings through. This brings healing to her soul and peace to her, so it's good for her, and it also changes her behavior for the better. Next example, leverage. Now, I won't say who, but there's a woman I've known since I was a kid who's a gun-toting, Bible-thumping, American flag-wrapped Republican Christian. She was upset that Erica Kirk
Marika!
didn't give control of TPUSA to a man. So we're talking megatrad, pro-male headship conservative Christian woman. At least outwardly. Behind the scenes, though, her choices tell a very different story. Principle to take out of this one is that being a Christian doesn't automatically remove women's desire or willingness to sin. Accountability is always necessary. No matter how churchy she is or what she says about her conservative beliefs, you still have to check in on her behavior. Find out what's there for sure. We already know this about men. Right? It's not like we go,
oh, he's a Christian now, so he's just not going to sin anymore. We don't need to check in on him.
Of course, when I say it that way, it sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what we do with women. We never check in to find out what's going on beneath the stuff they say about themselves. And you have to. Because simply being a Christian does not prevent you from falling into life-ruining sin. You need the Christian community around you to help stay on the narrow path. That leads us to our second to last scenario. We're almost getting there. Unforgiveness. Small roots of sin like these often grow until you can't sweep them under the rug anymore. Dr. Edgington talks at length about what happens to women when they don't receive accountability. Their sin eventually grows so dark and so pervasive that they become what Dr. Edgington has labeled reviling wives. Women who are unkind, unloving, filled with bitterness and resentment. They're controlling and manipulative, and worst of all, they refuse to forgive or ask for forgiveness. Once their sin grows to that point, most of these women do not get better. They get worse. They refuse to repent, and that often leads them out of their faith entirely. This is one thing that the trad pill, the god pill, and the red pill all kind of agree on. Women don't ask for forgiveness, and they don't forgive. They just don't. And we don't care. We make a ton ton of excuses for women and act as if it's men's sins that make it okay for her to be unforgiving. Even though this directly contradicts the parable of the wicked servant that Jesus tells us. And he says it even more directly in Matthew.
Again, why do you guys think that women do not excuse themselves? It is linked to accountability. And because women are being taught to not have any accountability at all, it's raised without accountability. They obviously will not ask for forgiveness or, excuse themselves when they commit mistakes. I do that, and I did that in my previous relationships many times because I was raised different. I have a dad to begin with. That's very rare in my generation, but it's not all about that. I was very educated, and so I have accountability for the stuff I do. At least, everyone commits mistakes that sometimes you believe that you're right, even though the entire world thinks you're wrong. But it's not the same like me. Like it's not the same like to me, like to all the other women. Like this happened like a lot less times with me that actually happens with them. And I think you guys may happen the same, right? Like sometimes we are very convicted of something and the other people cannot actually convince us otherwise. But yeah.
Matthew 6:15. But if you don't forgive others, your Father.
So if I'm like that, if I can't ask for forgiveness and stuff like that, why others cannot be like that? Of course, the different just look at the difference. I was well raised. I was always being held accountable. That's the very. It's not like being very very well raised. Don't explain well. Okay, I was always being held accountable by my mistakes since I was very 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 young. Every time I committed a mistake, or that I did something wrong or anything like that, I was always held accountable by my parents. More my dad, to be honest. More my dad. But yeah, mom also never took that easy to me too. And the same to my brother. That's why my brother is also a good person too. Because we were raised by the same parents. Yeah. So because I was always held accountable by my wrongdoings, the stuff I did, I do not become like that. I think this is actually, guys, thinking, now that we're thinking about that and discussing a lot of this stuff on this video, probably this is the main whole point of this. Probably for fixing everything regarding to women's problems nowadays is literally just one single thing, like make women accountable for their wrongdoings, for their stuff, for their mistakes. Make them pay for what they done, of wrong, of evil, whatever it is. And you can fix them, probably. But who will make that? Because it doesn't depend only on you. It depends, it's society thing. It's a society level. If you try to do that to your wife alone, like everyone will condemn you, you punish you, even her, more over her. But people that see you trying to do that around you on society, like your neighbors and etc., will also condemn you. The government will condemn you. Everyone will condemn you for that. So that's why I say there is no easy test. You really need to change the government, and you need to change from up to bottom. You cannot change this, in my opinion. You cannot change this from bottom. You could, like, if everyone was actually having kids, think that they are not. We see the numbers decreasing. Like, we could change that, indicate like of changing the way that we educate kids. But again, how you would do that if like the birth rate is actually decreasing to begin with? And second, you cannot even raise your kids the way you want anymore, because even that you lost already as a man holding a family. So how you're supposed to do that? So there is no actually choice. You need to start from top to bottom. You need to somehow change that on the government and on the big corpus, the mainstream media, before you going down again. It's my opinion, okay? I might be wrong. I probably am. Like, I'm not smart, okay?
Will not forgive your offenses. That should concern you when you see an unforgiving woman. Principle here: sin is most destructive to the person doing the sin. Most of our focus today is on protecting women from stuff that men might do to them. And that's important because men can do a lot of outward damage when they sin. But we can't forget that outward threats only harm women temporarily. Only her own sin can harm her eternally. A man's sin can't separate a woman from God forever, but hers will if she doesn't repent of it. And she will not repent if she isn't called to, through things like exhortation and rebuke and accountability and discipline, things that we don't want to do, but we have to. For these women's sake. We may think we're protecting women by shielding them from discipline and rebukes, but we're only protecting their emotions, and it's costing these women their souls. Final example. This is the biggest one: loyalty. For relationships to work at all, let alone be healthy, there has to be trust. You must be able to trust the other person is going to love you and look out for you, that they'll support you and listen to you and help you, and most of all, remain faithful to you. The bare minimum, they don't leave whenever the spark fades. This makes the current stats on women initiating divorce an Avengers level threat to marriage, because the way women are consistently treating men right now is breaking men's trust. I'm aware that many Christians will say, that stats aren't real. None of this stuff is actually happening. Or they'll say, yeah, but our rates aren't as high if you go to our particular sect of Christianity, as if a 1 in 5 chance of having your life ruined and experiencing the worst emotional torment imaginable is totally fine. Now, look, I will agree that in my experience at least, people who don't just say that they follow Jesus, but actively live it out, have way better chances than anyone else. I think that that's the only viable option for marriage today. Or to find someone who actually is trying their best to follow Jesus. Everything else is stupid. Don't do it. However, there are at least 6 Christian men in my personal circles whose wives left them to seek better men. All went to churches that upheld the authority of God's word. All of them were solid Christian men who practiced their faith and participated at their churches. They did not cheat or abuse their wives. And they worked hard to provide the best that they could for their wives. For example, one of them was a pastor at a previous church whose wife went from singing next to the worship director on Sunday to sleeping with the worship director to leaving the country and starting a new life with the worship director, abandoning her 2 children with her husband and blaming him for everything on the way out. None of these women faced any consequences. In fact, usually it's the men who have to pay, even if they did nothing wrong. For example, there's a guy I played on worship teams with for years. His wife's father was a lawyer. So when she decided to leave, even though he had done nothing wrong except fail to provide the lifestyle she wanted, her dad basically told the guy, here's the deal, you're taking it. And he was too poor to fight it, so he had to sign it and give her whatever she wanted. He then had to spend the next year moved back in with his mom so he could work off all of the debt that he'd been stuck with. So I personally have seen prototypical good Christian women do all of the worst things that the red and black pills said that they would, exactly when they said they would. And not only did these women receive no consequences, it has most often been the men who were punished for it, while their churches stood by and did nothing. This decision has consequences. Of those 6 men, at least 4 of them aren't really strong Christians, if at all anymore. And one of them is now a red/black pill influencer who discourages guys from going to church. Now, guys like Ruslan have accused me of saying what I do simply to get views and gain what he dismissively refers to as fans. Obviously, he's assuming that none of the things I talk about are real, but
Yeah, it's really difficult to defend church where I live. Like I told you guys, my experience were always the worst inside the church around my neighbor here. And, every single church I tried in all my life, none of them were good examples. None of them. So it's complicated for me to defend those. I really can't. To be honest, I really can't. In my opinion, this is my opinion, okay? And this is where, and this is why I say I cannot fit anywhere. Maybe this is why I'm always, lost, and lost in the sense, I end up not making connections with much people and burning bridges a lot. Like people tell me that already. Because I cannot fulfill perfectly any of these boxes, including the Christian one. Because Christians keep insisting that the Christians that are made orthodox and etc. that, you should just find a church and go. I don't think you should. In my opinion, it was doing, to me at least, it was doing more harm to me than good to go to the church that we have here, okay? It was doing more bad than good to me. So I don't think some people will tell, if there is no good church around, just find any church out there and go there because go for you and not because the pastor that is there, and everything. Go for yourself. And it's not like that. It didn't work for me like that, I wasn't feeling good there. I wasn't, okay? So, and every single person that I talk about this, disagree with me on that part. So I end up being kind of excluded for this and some other stuff that I think differently. Yeah, of course, I know I have a lot of mistakes. I say, I swear a lot. I say a lot of slurs, and I know that's not a Christian thing to do. I know that, but I just cannot get rid of that. Okay, it's not simple. It's not simple as that. And I cannot love my enemy. In fact, I hate too much stuff. I hate a lot of stuff. I hate injustice with all my soul. There's a lot of things that I just, things that I know that, I shouldn't be, I'm not supposed to say those things or feel so angry or enraged like that because it's always a sin, But I cannot help myself but being like that, So I know I commit too much sins that probably not just there's it, but there's my opinions that I don't think they are wrong about the church, for example, that always place me away from, for example, other content creators that talk about this stuff. But it is what it is. I will defend my beliefs, and some stuff like that, it's like shikataganai, for example. It's like I said, I will keep hating the stuff I hate because, it's not like I will not try to be better. I will, but I still don't think that it's too wrong for me to be like that because how you're supposed to look at all of this and love my fucking enemy? What the fuck are you talking about? I cannot do that. Damn. Of course I try to be a better person. Of course I try to be a good Christian. But I don't expect of myself to be Jesus Christ himself. I will not, in the sense of being exactly like him. I will not be as good as he was. I will never be as good as he was. I cannot. I have my limitations, and this is probably one of them. I'll probably never change that fact. It's not like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I'm being honest, I don't think I will change those things, you know? So that will, what? So I don't deserve like to be treated as a Christian because of that, or what? Huh?
I should point out, one of those 6 men,
I think
my
about
older
stuff,
brother,
you know?
his story's one of the worst.
I do.
He did everything his Christian community told him to do, exactly how they said to do it. He trusted us and his Christian wife. Then she ruined their marriage so that she could leave him for a better man that magically showed up in her life 2 weeks after they separated. My brother's not alone in this. No, it's not happening all the time, but it's happening often enough that these are not just wild outliers we can safely dismiss anymore. So, the final principle is that sin is not just between us and God alone. All of these examples scale up to our entire culture and the whole church body. And if we don't turn this around, we're done for. Each isolated instance of favoritism towards women or permissiveness towards their sin creates another unrepentant, selfish, contentious woman. Those women's sin destroys them, and it creates a hazardous minefield for the people around them. Those individual women scale up over time into an entire culture that gets more and more infected.
Thank you very much, Renfan, for coming, for supporting me so much today. Happy birthday again. I hope you had a lot of fun today on your birthday. I don't know, I don't remember which time is that for you right now, but for me it's almost 10 p.m. here. I hope you had a lot of fun and rest well.
With sin.
I
From
hope
there,
you're
you
not
end up
drunk
with a
at this
culture
point.
that
You
men
was
don't
drinking
want to
wine
be a
this
part
whole
of
time.
because it's hostile towards them and it's too much of a pointless risk for them. There's no incentive for them. It's all punishment all the time, so they leave. And once men leave the society, it's over. Again, I know people like Ruslan have already made up their minds that I'm just regurgitating some false narratives that I latched onto because it made me feel good because, all my problems are someone else's fault. Or that I'm just doing this for clicks. So in their minds, everything I'm saying is safe to ignore. But this is not rhetoric. These are not fallacies. These are real men who've been through real suffering because of real sin. And they went through it mostly because of our inaction and our unwillingness to hold women accountable. When good Christian men start to go through this stuff, eventually they just lose their trust in women. They lose their trust in us as well, because we promised them that they could trust those women and we were wrong. That's why they turn to the red pill and more often now, the black pill. Women have broken men's trust with their unaccountable behavior. But instead of working to repair that trust by dealing with the behaviors that broke it,
just think in a very economic way of thinking, like, you have a product, a company or organization, and that products or company or organization keeps like proving to you over and over again that does a terrible product, job, or service, or whatever it is. Would you still trust on that product, service, or organization whatsoever? You not. You stop putting your money there. You want distance from those. It's the very same thing. I know it's more like on the very materialistic side of thing. It's just for effects of comparison. It's the very same logic.
we've been using guilt and shame to pressure these men into essentially an abusive relationship where everything flows one direction to feed women's flesh, and the church enforces it until the woman's flesh isn't satisfied anymore and she leaves. People don't hate the red pill because it's a lie. They hate it because it's the truth. It's describing a reality that's a glaring.
But yeah, I think not just about the red pill, but you can say that what in modern society nowadays, what causes the most erased outcomes of the people are the truth and not the lies. Look online, for example. Look of the people being murdered for telling truths like we have been seeing lately. There's a lot. There's so much on that field to explore that we could endless talk about that. They hate you so much when you open your mouth to speak truth that they murder you for that. That's real crazy. They want to censor you for that. They want to delete you for that. Unalive you for that, They will do whatever they can to silence you. It's incredible just by stating the truth. The truth. If it was a fucking lie, they wouldn't care.
Glaring indictment on our failure to restrain women's worst impulses and hold them accountable for
Again, this is another proof that we live in a world that is from devil. That is literally the devil's world. It's not from God. It's not from God anymore. No, not anymore. Not for a while. It's a devil's word. A lot of Christians, I see a lot of Christians confusing that, by the way. Oh, the words from God. No, not currently. Not at this point. Just remember, for example, when Jesus was in the desert, and the devil, the demon, was offering Jesus all the kingdoms of the earth or everything. Why he was offering this to him? It's because he was in possession of that. And it is in possession of all of this since always.
indulging their
It is just more blatant now, more evident for everyone to see.
feelings and ultimately their
I
sinful
believe.
flesh. Neither the red pill nor the black pill would exist today if we did our job. So my main assertion is that if we start doing accountability justly, according to God's word, it will be healthier for women, and it will
I hope I'm not blaspheming here. It's my understanding. It's my understanding of the things. Of course, we know that what will happen in the future, and then it will become to the new Jerusalem, and everything that we talk about. But currently, it's devil's world.
reduce the need for guys to go to this sort of information black market, right? The dark web.
And you can tell that pretty much, for example, look at the nature. Just ignore the thing that belongs to the devil, that or the governments of the world. Think about the nature itself, that are just like nature. You see that even that is chaotic, even that is not working correctly, because again, it's not on the hands of God anymore. It's in the hands of the devil. It's imperfect. It's chaotic, and it is what it is. It is what it became, It will become to return to a perfect state once again, but not now.
Type of cesspool, hive of scum and villainy to get around the bad fruit of women's unrestrained sinful behavior. Now, this would not remove the instincts and feelings that women have any more than the gospel removes our instincts as men, right? There will always be value in letting people tell the truth about what women do and do not respond to. But with appropriate scripture-based discipline and accountability structures in place, along with teaching structures, we could curb the vast majority of the selfish, impulse-driven behaviors that have damaged men's lives and broken their trust. This would also allow churches to become places where both men and women can find relief from the damaging effects of sins like pride, selfishness, bitterness, and so on. So, what would this actually look like in real life? How would we implement this? Well, it's actually really simple because we already do it for the guys. Literally, just take the same mentality and structures you already have in place to deal with men's sin and set up the same thing for women. For example, with men, we openly teach about their sin and rebuke them for it in our sermons and our teaching programs. We don't fear their feelings or how they'll respond to it. We just do it. So take that same no fear attitude when talking about women's sins and dealing with it. Next up, investigate their sins. Learn more about it. Again, we already do this with men. Currently, with women, we don't want to know about their sin. So we don't go looking, but we need to start. Because as we've
Yeah, a woman that goes to church and are secretly reading, milking, what? I forgot the name of the book, Milking Farm, like, something Milky Farm, yeah, secretly.
discussed before, women's sin is typically more covert than men's sin. It's not as big and bad and brash and loud.
Goes to the church, goes back home, and secretly reads Milking Farm, Morning Glory Milking Farm, yes, secretly.
You need to go looking for it. If you don't, it will continue to slip under the radar and go unaccountable. So we need to learn. And then, if that's not enough, administer proper church discipline. Scripture does not give any caveats about, women being less sinful or their sins aren't as damaging or how we have to take it easy on them with discipline and
Did that
rebukes
also.
and accountability. No, it doesn't say any of that. Instead, it gives every indication that women's sins are just as deadly as any other and should be treated that way. So we need to actually start doing that. Then on the positive side, teach women healthy alternatives to the sins they feel like doing. Just saying, sin bad, don't do it. That's not enough. Right? There's usually a reason why people want to sin. And often it's because of a legitimate desire or need. So take what you learn about women's sin.
Justice for the People 7. Bro, I thought a short while ago smut wasn't corn. This word is messed up. I have no idea what smut means. I don't know the meaning of this word. I don't understand.
From your
I heard this word a few times where I don't remember what actually means. I mean, you gave me some hint, but I still don't know the meaning of the word.
investigation, then use that to teach women how to get their needs met
Oh,
in
I see.
healthier ways.
Fake
For example,
observance.
if a guy asks
So this morning glory thing is a smut then,
her
right?
out that she finds unattractive and she feels that instinct to protect herself by lying to him, teach women to find a different way to deal with the fear. For example, if she doesn't
Smut
have
move.
the courage
Okay.
to tell the truth, okay, fine. Go find someone else who can do it for her. You could have her dad or her pastor go talk to the guy. And there are ways to do this kind of thing for every sin that we've discussed in this video. I'm not going to list them all out here because this video is getting very long and you guys are smart people. You can figure it out yourselves. The point is, sin is never necessary. No matter what justifications women might throw out there to make you feel bad for trying to stop them,
I think I said quite a few times in my channel too. There is no excuses for cheating and things like that. Like there is no excuse for that, Like you did that, you don't do that. If you did, there is no ways to fix that. You walk away. You man or woman, you walk away. You don't forgive that, okay? Because if you forgive, you will be taking away the responsibility of the person, the accountability of the person you did that. And you bring all this half burden over you, You'll be condemning yourself.
there is always a better alternative. So that is what I would like to try to build. A church that doesn't take anything away from the high calling we place on men, but instead adds a similarly high calling for women and real scriptural standards that we actually teach them and hold them accountable to, both for their sake and the sake of the men in their lives. Sin destroys, but we don't have to let it. We can create a place where everyone can find relief from it.
What he's saying is all possible of happening. He's not wrong. But again, you, man alone in a relationship, you cannot start that yourself. Because it doesn't depend on you. It depends on organizations. So this is what he talked right here. If we actually have to start somewhere, it's like he said, are the places that are more likely to accept that. And the first one is the church. So the church would be the first place where this this should change. Because, okay, you cannot control your wife anymore. You don't have powers over her anymore. She doesn't trust what you say. She will think you are like, whatever the bullshit that mainstream media preach it to her all this time. But it's different when you have like the leader of your church. Because yes, women do care about that a lot. It's different. She will listen more. She'll give more. It's not gonna be easy, okay? Remember that she was taught her entire life on not holding accountability for her bad behaviors. So even though it's the leader of the church talking her out, telling her all the sins that she's doing, that she are not supposed to commit that, what she should do to have a healthy relationship to her husband, to say that it's her mistake and not his. Like, even though considering that the pastor will say, will tell her all this stuff, which by itself is a miracle of its own, it doesn't mean that she will bend to it. But it's not you alone anymore talking about that. And it's not like you're committing a crime anymore because you're being backed up by the leader of the church and by the other people from inside the church, your brothers in Christ inside the church. And it's even better if you get a woman on that church to support you on this. You know, they can help, like the good ones. The good ones can take your side on that and help you convince her. You know, yeah, it's tiresome. It isn't supposed to be like that, but it is what it is. It's gonna be difficult. It's not gonna be easy. But yeah, if there's one place that we should be starting is the church itself. Because I will not even say the most easy place is like the less difficult place with less barriers to be broken, in my opinion. And then you need to go up and start to inside other corporations, like for example, other organizations, like not only ending up on just these institutions, but also bringing this to the corporation, to the offices, to the way that companies are dealing with workers, to the type of thought inside the companies and things like that. You know, it has to be start somewhere, and I think the church is the first place to start this stuff. But no, you alone inside your marriage, you will not change shit, in my opinion. Okay?
So to my Christian peers on YouTube here, please treat this like a paper that I'm submitting for peer review and pick it apart. Show me precisely.
In my opinion, it's better you throw away the relationship and end up whatever you have and get yourself a girl that already know all this stuff because it was raised to know this stuff. That actually try to teach a woman that you already have in behavior like that, you know.
Where and how I'm wrong. So to the reasonable, rational Christian YouTubers like Leighton Flowers, Mike Winger.
If you don't have any external support, in my opinion, this is the best solution for you, that I would say.
Nick Freitas, Joby Martins, and the gang, pick this to pieces. Show me. I'm submitting this to you now so you can help us shape this.
Yeah, again, Christians wouldn't agree with me because again, I'm saying that a person that has a wife like that has to divorce, and this is against Christ, and you know, I mean, on their words, okay. But I'm being very realistic here, using like the current situation of modern society, and I think this is the best solution, okay. In my opinion, I would not want you guys inside a relationship like that just because for the sake of, oh, you gotta save it because, you know, you gotta stay married with your woman because it's as God's intended. And yes, it was, but I mean, there is no fix on it. You're not supposed to be suffering it forever. But be mindful after you leave. Please take a time. Think very well and choose wisely the next one, or don't choose any at all. stay the fuck alone, you know? Or the next one you choose. Be mindful. Do not choose but just because you're alone, you want something together with you. For none of these things. Choose for because you really believe that person is a very nice person that will not happen the same as the previous relation you had. And not just because of the heat of the moment, you know?
This idea as we put it into practice. And if you're someone interested in helping us build this new kind of church, or advocate for churches to become this kind of church, please go to the website below and send me a message. I need men right now who are ready to be leaders. If you like this video, please subscribe. You'll see more stuff like this. That's all I got for now. Stay weird, go watch another video, or get out of here.
Yeah, well, I liked this video very much. I think it was very productive. At least my opinion, it was very productive. We could discuss a lot of stuff, and it made me thinking a lot of stuff as well. Like, it was very productive in my opinion. It was very assertive. I don't know. It was good. It was a very nice video. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tailed fox tier member, the Holy Ball, and to all of my 3-tailed fox tier members, Wallony Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Eat Himself, Chile Not Serious, Eustace the Useful, Zealous Isaiah, Ala Rosas, Max Tenor, Nugutino, Avery, Halcyonic Eder, and TV8. Thank you very, very much. You guys are amazing. Also, thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Foxlings. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.